Okay, so we're gonna get started with our evening practice. We're gonna go ahead and come to a seated pose in the middle of your mat and just rest your hands onto your knees, palms down. And let's take a moment to ground our minds, release our body. Just close your eyes here. Allow the thoughts of your mind to flow with the natural rhythm of your breath. Just intake in all the sensations around you, from below you, above you, to sides, back, front. Let's bring that awareness inward. Let's listen to your breath, the sound of your inhale, the sound of your exhale. Deep breath in, a deep breath out. So mind and body settles in. Let this inspire you for tonight's practice. A phrase I capture of one of my writings in my journal. I said, by treating ourselves with kindness, we can support ourselves and live with greater confidence. Today, practice treating yourself with compassion. If you notice yourself becoming self critical, try to soften your attitude and your tone toward yourself. If you're feeling tired or stressed out, relax, rest, and do something kind for yourself. Bring your hands into prayer, bow your head. Before we start, I ask you this. How can you best support and love yourself on this mat tonight? So open your eyes, rest your hands down. Let's begin our practice tonight on our hands and knees, that tabletop pose. So you're going to place yourself towards the middle of your mat. Untuck your toes, letting those knees stack underneath that hip joint. Place the wrists underneath the shoulder joints. And just softly gaze before you, feeling that tailbone curl up, compressing into the low back as you're lifting your heart space forward. And then gently start to round into your back. To get into your breath, you want to move your heart space forward on that inhale. And as you exhale, go ahead and start to round into your spine. Let's do one more together. You're going to inhale, reach the chest forward, lift the chin away from your heart. And then exhale, curl the tailbone in, round into your back. Then close your eyes. Begin to flow to your own breath. At this time, start to curl your toes in. And then open your eyes. I want you to lift your head up. Shift the shoulders slightly forward. And I just want you to exhale. Rock your body forward and back. You can take the breath in to shift the shoulders over the wrists. And then just exhale, stretch it back. Continue to encourage movement. You're going to take some time here, come back to the center. This time, I want you to inhale, shift the shoulders over the wrist. When you exhale, just roll that hip all the way out to that left heel. And then inhale, roll forward, taking that exhale to drop your hips over to that right heel. And repeat this motion, just warming up into that hip joint. Really observing where you are in your body. And then come back to the center. Take a moment here. I want you to just flip one wrist behind. So my right fingertips pointing back. And you can do this one hand at a time. And just the movement of rocking forward and back just to get into the wrist space, especially if we do a lot of typing, a lot of driving, perhaps we just need to give those hands and wrist space a little love. If you're choosing to do this double-handed, make sure that you flip the hands forward once in a while. If you're doing it one at a time, start to alternate. About 30 seconds more here. Continue to take that breath in to rock forward, the breath out to rock back. And then gently come back to the center. Go ahead and just release those hands forward. Allow them to just soften. Don't place too much weight into your wrists, and I want you to just rock the hips left and right. You can create circular movements into your spine if you like. And we're going to free flow for about a minute, really encouraging yourself to dive into your own body, taking any movement that your body is inspired to on this mat. Okay, let's come back to the center. Go ahead and curl those toes in. This is the last weight bearing pose that we're going to do just to get yourself familiar with where you are from the upper back all the way down to those heels. So one down dog, we're going to lift the hips up and just take your time. You're going to notice my shoulders are slightly towards my wrist space. And I want to refrain from doing that. So I'm just going to start to really push my body back towards my hips. Let the head come down between the upper arms. And if this is super, super tight for you, my recommendation is to micro bend those knees so you're not overstretching in the beginning of the practice. Let's pedal into your feet. Bend your knees one at a time. If you like to nourish the low back, this is a good time. Roll that hip in when you bend that knee. This massaging motion feels so good for the low back. And then stretch your heels down. Keep pushing your body back towards the hips. Really deepen into the body here. For another 3, another 2, and 1. Let's go ahead and relax. Come down to your knees. And let's come into child's pose. You're going to take the hands and wrap them around your feet. Allow your head to roll down towards the mat. And if you need some help with that, you can always bring that pillow or bolster and have it support your forehead. Just close your eyes. Surrender your mind to your breath. Surrender this body to your mat. With your head down, I want you to walk your fingertips to the top of your mat. Lengthen into your low back and upper back here. As you begin your practice of yin postures in a restorative manner, I'll provide you ample time. Some poses 1 to 3 minutes, others 5. So wherever you are, all I ask of you is just breathe. All the body needs from you tonight is to listen to your breath so you can quiet your mind. Listen to your breath so your body can heal and recover. Bring your awareness to your fingertips. When you breathe in, so you can inch your finger just slightly forward, feeling that extra length you create through your entire body. And just bring your head back down and really settle back into that breath. Lift your head, peek at your hands, and then walk your hands step by step over to the left. You can take the right hand closer to your left hand for a deeper link to the right body. And walk your hands step by step to the center, and then exhale over to the right. And then walk your hands back to the center allowing your spine to realign. And then bring your hands closer to your body. You're going to rise back onto those hands and knees. So provide yourself some space, maybe really making sure those knees are underneath the hips, the hands are underneath the shoulders. We're going to take it into our second posture of this practice. Single pigeon pose starting on your left side. We're going to take that left leg back. And all you're going to do is just bend the left knee up towards your chest. It's round for a moment. And then bring the left knee behind your left wrist. Tuck into your right toe. You're going to lift the right knee so you can bring that left foot over towards the right, providing some space for you to slide that right leg back. So you can notice how my left footing is a little closer to my right hip. Now I'm going to inch my body forward because I'm coming off my mat. But if you have tight hips, left foot close to the right hip is perfectly okay. If you like to deepen into the body, just go ahead and just wedge that left foot forward. Your left should, at the max, should be parallel to the top of the mat. Now, my biggest thing with this is always hip alignment. So you'll notice if your hips are rolling to the left, you can see how high my right hip is lifted. So what I do is I take my hands next to my body and I just slightly lift my hips. So you can see that slight lift in my hip right now. And all I'm trying to do is I can rock my hips over to the right. And if you're struggling with that because the left foot is further away from your right hip, maybe bring that left foot in a little more so you can really focus on drawing that right hip back to the center. So one of the things I notice with this is that I start closer to my right hip, and as I'm starting to realign my hip left and right, then I can start to feel, okay, I can move my left foot maybe slightly forward, just a little bit more. And then once I kind of find my center here, my hips are a little bit more aligned, I take it into one more thing. So I haven't done this in our previous classes, so I'm going to show you from the front. We're going to be in this pose quite some time, so don't worry if we're starting to do a lot of alignment work. So what happens sometimes here is as you're rolling over to the right, you'll notice there's this gap that comes behind your left buttock. So if you notice that, if you have a block, like a yoga block, or perhaps a pillow or a bolster, or even a blanket will work well. What I do is I wedge it underneath my buttock, my left buttock. So I have some kind of support to still level into my hip. And it helps me also maybe align into my left footing a little bit more, knowing that I'm not fully concaving into the left side. And then once you start to really support from the lower body, then feel free. We're going to come down to the forearms. Bow your head and just look between the space of your arms and hands. This pose and the next couple minutes will challenge your mind, the state of your heart, your body in various ways. Your body will want to resist the longer you're here. As long as it's not pain and you just feel a deep stretch, a soreness, it's okay. But like we set that intention for this practice, while you're on this mat, in this position, Observe your mind, the thoughts that come in, and everything that starts to flood into your space. Continue to ask yourself, how can I be more loving and supportive in this moment? This time, if your body starts to speak back, stop for a moment and take 3 deep breaths. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Somehow our breath can help us carry through the toughest times of resistance in our mind or bodies. So during this practice, if you start to feel that at any given time, remember your breath. Just come back onto your hands first. If you join me and use the prop underneath your hip, this is a time to set it out to the side. Perhaps taking that left foot closer to the right hip, and you're going to feel a deep release when we send our body back. I'm going to give you 2 options. So let's start from the basics together. Hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the right toe. Bring that right knee just slightly forward. You can go back into a tabletop and just start to roll out the hips. Or option 2, I'll do with you, it's a down dog. And we're going to send that left leg back, keeping the left knee bent. And all I want you to do is just circle out that entire left hip. Once that feels good, go ahead and take a down dog breath here. And then we're going to recline back down to the knees. Beautiful. So let's go ahead and explore out the right side of our hip. Coming from the forefront, I'm taking my right leg all the way back. And I'm just gonna bend the right knee. As it's coming towards my chest, I'm gonna round my spine, just a slight core engagement before I drop the right knee behind my right wrist. To pick up my left knee so I can walk my right foot over to the left. And I'm gonna slide that left leg back. So from here, take all your focus to the lower body. I'm just going to surrender my right hip over to the right for a moment. I'm going to either choose to bring my right foot close to the left hip, or I'm going to just slither its way slightly forward, maybe 1 or 2 inches, not to my maximum expression yet. And I'm just going to start to rock and roll, open up that hip space. So hands next to your body. So there are times that I do this literally for a minute, depending on just where I am with my hips that day. And it feels so good because I find that it lubricates into my hip joints more so than just dropping into a single pigeon pose without really wakening up those hips. And once that starts to feel good, start to kind of settle into your body, knowing that if you can walk the right foot forward a little more, starting to really square out the hip space. So I'm going to start to roll my hip over to the left as much as I can. Notice that I have that gentle gap behind my right buttocks. And if I do, I'm going to grab either my yoga block, my bolster, or my blanket. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to show you my blanket. I wrapped it into like a burrito. And all I'm going to do is just wedge this baby underneath my right buttocks. I'm going to feel slightly elevated, but a little bit more supported. Perhaps by doing that, maybe I can scooch my right foot a little more forward, hands supporting my body. Then I can start to hinge from my hip space. Go ahead and close your eyes. Back to that nourishing, loving, deep breath. Of all the yin poses available to us, sleeping pigeon pose is by far my favorite. There's something about this that really challenges my physical body, where the thoughts of my mind really come out and resist, but in such a good way, because we are here for such an ample amount of time. It gives me some space, and I'm sure it does for you as well. That space and time to really look into our own selves and really kind of self-talk, really. Knowing if you're letting that negative self-talk rise up again. Perhaps you had a hard week, a lot of grieving, stress, anxiety, whatever it might be. that triggers you. Those moments in life often bring out some of the worst thoughts within us, and usually they're triggered and directed to ourselves. And I am no master in that. I am a true victim of that, especially this week. So coming back here has been a blessing because it gives me time to ask myself the question we asked ourselves earlier. What can we do to better love and support ourselves in the moment? Okay. Slowly come up, rise onto the hands. Using this time to adjust your right foot close to the left hip, to remove any blankets, blocks, or bolsters, pillows, set them out to the side. And then bring those hands before you underneath the shoulders. We're going to recline back. So we're going to tuck that left toe. Move the left and just slightly forward so it can help you kind of release out a little easier. And then drop back into all fours or that down dog to roll out your right hip. Whenever you're ready, you can slowly come back to the down dog to ease your way into your child's pose. This is the second one you're in, so you are more than welcome to really navigate those knees a little wider than the hips, so those big toes touch behind you. You're creating space between your thighs for the belly to come down. And then we're going to just reach those arms forward. Let's go ahead and transition, taking the hands all the way back to your knees. And just very gently start to roll the body up, letting those thighs and knees meet back to the center. Feel free to take any extra movements while you're kneeling, letting it feel good. Let's go ahead and swing your legs forward. So this part of our practice, we're going to start to work into that low back. So not many poses tonight, but everything has its purpose. This one, if you've been into my physical location classes, you know that I love doing this twist. So I'm going to pretend this is the front side of my mat. Now, if you have that pillow or bolster, my recommendation is really take it to the back of your mat. Give yourself that extra love tonight so you can really hug your pillow going twist back. From here, your knees are nice and open, maybe angled out at that hip width. And we're just going to start through the right side. So you're going to drop both your knees over to the right. Now, the way I want to angle this is that my upper right thigh is parallel to the back of my mat. Now I'm bending my right foot closer to my hips so that right foot's touching my left thigh. Now automatically my body shifts to the right side of the mat here. I'm going to very gently guide myself to the back side of my mat. So if you have a pillow like I do, I'm literally crossing my right arm over the pillow and the hands on each side of the pillow, and I'm just slowly twisting my body, starting to work my way to feel that twist coming through my core space, my low back, my chest perhaps closer facing to that back of the mat. Let's take 5 deep breaths here, just to ease really, really slowly. The entire time that we're twisting, I want you to always focus on those deep belly breaths. From here, I want you to come down to your forearms, whether you have a pillow or not. Go ahead and just very gently come down to your forearms. So a slightly different kind of twist and feel. And take another few breaths here. Let that body really adjust into deepening into the connective tissues that support this twist. If this feels good, just stay here. If you like to really come down to the mat, you can start to stretch those hands forward. Perhaps rest your head down onto the pillow and making sure that you can still breathe, so you can turn your head over to the left or the right, whatever is more comfortable for your neck. Take a few more breaths here. And gently come back to the forearms first. Once that feels good, you can rise up onto your hands. And every step of the way, you're just releasing out slowly. Just take a moment and just turn over to the left, facing towards the right side of your mat. And then very gently, I'm going to turn back towards the top of your mat, letting the knees come back to the center. So you're going to do that same exact thing on the other side. Leave the pillow where it is. This time, this is my front of the mat. And I'm going to drop my knees over to the left. Starting to really adjust my hip space. Starting to move that left thigh so it's parallel to the back of my mat. Hugging that left foot into my right thigh. And when you're ready, just take it slow. Start to work your way in, twisting over towards the left. Twisting, placing those hand placements around your pillow if you have one, or just frame them at that shoulder width. And then take that breath in to always lengthen your spine. Exhale, twist. Really feel that movement through the belly space, the low back. Such a good way to flush out those toxins in your body. You're just limiting that blood flow in this very moment so that when we've done all that twisting work and we come back to the center, circulation starts to flood into the digestive system. Circulation invites itself to nourish the low back. Let's come down to the forearms. If it feels good here, stay. If you want to go deeper, start to really hug yourself down towards the mat or your pillow. Go ahead and just move your arms forward. Turn your head over to the left or over to the right. And just close your eyes. Come back to your breath. slide your hands down, lift up to your forearms. And gently rise up to your hands. Still looking towards the back of your mat. And then walk over to the right so you're facing the side of your mat. And then very slowly, you can shift that body forward. Let the knees roll back to the center so you're facing to the top of your mat. So at this time, I do want you to keep that bolster pillow if you have one where it is. If you don't worry. You can still do every pose that we do without it. Now from here, you're gonna take the knees just a little wider. I want you to really sit the hips back so the hips are right hugging into that edge of that bolster pillow that you have. And from here, just want you to bring the soles of your feet together, knees out to the side. We're gonna take it into a forward fold and then back into a back bend. So take it, hands onto your feet, that breath in to really lengthen the spine, let it feel good. Perhaps a few head rolls. And then gently just go ahead and bend your elbows, round into your back, chin to your chest. And then gently just release and roll up. From here, I'm gonna ask you to go ahead and roll all the way down to your back. So you automatically feel this slight arch to your low back. If you're doing this without a bolster, the moment that you start to lie back in this position, you're automatically going to feel that slight arch coming in through the low back. The only difference is that when we're doing it with the bolster or the pillow just adds additional oomph and support. I'm going to stretch the arms back, and I want you to take the hands to opposite elbows. Feel the upper arms just really surrendering to gravity, letting it really sink towards the floor. If you need to, you can pick up your chest, let the chest lift a little higher. And close your eyes. In time, your inner hips will just naturally open up. Really vulnerable space, letting the front side of your body just lift. So take your breath. The first few breaths, I want you to breathe down to your belly first. The deeper you breathe into the belly, the more expansive your breath opens up the front side of the belly and the core space. If you want to further draw that breath up to your chest, notice how that changes the opening of the front body. Let's go ahead. Let the knees close in first. Placing the soles of your feet on the mat. Feet distance at hip width. And then stretch the arms all the way back. From here, just wanting to just roll your hips one vertebrae at a time up towards the sky. Feel the soft release in the low back. And then just gently, as the hips start to roll back down, float the hands back next to your hips. Let's do that 2 more times at your own pace. From here, I just want you to roll your body over to the side, just enough so you can remove that pillow, bolster, or blanket underneath you. And you're just going to roll back onto your back, still holding onto that pillow here if you have one. And the way that I want you to support your body here tonight is you're going to slide this pillow or bolster underneath your back, your low back. So pick up the hips if you need to. Just wedge that pillow. And when you sit the hips down, your pillow should be supporting your buttocks and the low back at the same time. Now, if you don't have a pillow with you tonight, you can go ahead and do the same movement of the hip lift and the release. If you have time, because we're at home, go ahead and grab a pillow from the couch or the bedroom, and you have ample time here, so don't worry about it. And once you start to settle in, all I want you to do is stretch those legs forward, letting the toes roll out. It's going to feel so good for the low back. Now your body's going to naturally shape to the pillow or bolster of your choice. You can rest the arms out to the side, or you can stretch your arms behind your head, whatever feels good. And let's take it into the breath. For the duration that we're here, I want you to deep breathe in the belly space. Long, deep breaths. grounding, deep breaths. While you're here, let's just shake your head side to side, left and right. Begin to pick up your feet and just move the knees towards your chest one by one. Rolling those knees up towards your chest, letting the low back round up. Then you wrap the arms around your knees, rock the body left and right. Continue to hold on to your knees. You're just going to slide that left leg all the way forward, hug the right knee tighter to your body. And then gently stretch the right arm out to the right. You're going to twist the right knee over to the left. And then slowly let the right knee come back to the center. And you're going to move that right leg forward, hug the left knee in. So with your low back slightly propped with a pillow, when you stretch that right leg forward and down towards the mat, you're going to feel a nice deep opening through the front side of that hip. And then let's go ahead, stretch the left arm out, roll the left knee over to your right. And then release, bring the left knee back to the center. Hug both knees up towards your chest. Let the arms just open wide. I want you to just take any rock and movement, massaging out that low back. So it's a good time to take just about any lower body movement you like. You'll notice that you might want to just roll your knees and hips out, or even take your knees for a circle. As long as it feels good, there's no right or wrong way. Once your body's ready, I'm going to stretch the legs down onto the mat. You can go ahead and scooch that bolster or pillow further out from your low back. This time, just let it move all the way forward so your knees can rest on top of the pillow this time. Then stretch the legs forward. Bring the hands onto your belly, arms out to your side. Just close your eyes. Shavasana. Allow your mind to release the thoughts. Deeply relax and soften your body. Begin to breathe. Inhale through your nose. Open your mouth when you exhale. Let each passing exhale be a more audible breath out. As the next breath in rises through your body, go ahead and stretch the arms all the way behind your head. Expansive breath. And then feet onto the mat, bending your knees. Roll on to your favorite side. When you're ready, press your body up. Join me in our seated pose. A practice is never complete without a little aromatherapy to help you set and wind down the practice. So if you grab your favorite essential oil tonight. I invite you to roll some or dabble some to your inner wrist. We're gonna rub it into the inner wrist space. Any excess, you're more than welcome to take it through the temples of your head. And gently just cup your hands. You're gonna bow your head down towards your hands. And join me for our last 5 to 10 breaths together. Draw your focus on that inhale. Guiding your hands into prayer, bowing your head. Thank you for joining me tonight. The inner light within me always honors the inner light within each and one of you. May the rest of tonight and this weekend bring forth so much light and love, so much memory, health, wellness. And for those of you who are joining us tonight, who are celebrating Father's Day this weekend, may you and your family be safe and be well. Let's open your eyes, lift your head. Namaste. So thank you again for joining me. We're going to be using aromatherapy in all our classes going forward, so feel free to always make that available to you. And if you don't and you need recommendations, you can always email me and ask me. I make some at home too. More than happy to create one for you. Um, Before we wrap up, I do have a whole entire new schedule next week. So there's going to be 4 classes I'm introducing next week, and each one is very unique on its own. So you'll get this in the email, but starting Monday, there will be 2 6:30 p.m. classes. Monday and Wednesday is 6:30 p.m. Tuesday and Thursday is 8 p.m. The Monday 6:30 p.m. will be back to basics yoga. Tuesday will be our gentle feel good yoga. Wednesday is going to be a cardio core yoga to help us focus on strengthening through our body. And then also helping you stabilize your core strength. And obviously, our Thursday class will be our yin restorative class. So I'm going to unmute us. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I'll hang out for a little bit.